Hi, you're listening to Jesus Christ That's Funny, the podcast with Pastor Dwayne Black and comedian Ethan Moore about theology, life, and comedy. We broadcast every week from the Sanctuary Church in Fort Lauderdale. And now, it's Jesus Christ That's Funny with Pastor Dwayne and Ethan Moore. Well, hi there, Pastor Black.
Ethan, it's so great to see you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How was your week?
It has been pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah? How about since the last podcast? It's been wild, right? In those 3 minutes since...
It's been, yeah.
We're recording two at once right now. So we did the last one, and we're jumping into another one.
That's so good. You're so honest. I like that. That's really good. Oh, good.
I think it's better to do that instead of pretend.
Right.
Like, you can have a conceit of the show that, you know... Like that you're... How about we can have a conceit of the show that you're at war with the, your overseers in the presbytery.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're out to get you. You're the renegade, right? They're out here doing crazy stuff.
Tearing me down. They're pulling me down. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But we just keep lifting it up, you know?
Yeah. So that would be a good conceit of the show. Like every week you could check in, with your war with them, and... They want you to not feed the homeless, but you want to, or whatever it is,
Aren't you tired of feeding all those people? No, 400 a week is good.
They're like, you need to send in more of your offering collections to our central location. And you're like, no, man, it's for the people right here. It's for this congregation,
That's good. That's very good. You've been around here, yeah.
I don't know if that's what happens.
No, it doesn't. That's not. That's more of a Catholic setup where you... We
pyramid scheme.
We try to we support the things. It is a little bit unusual that we're probably going to have a Jewish temple here worshiping with us, and that's pretty unbelievable. So we got Quakers, we got us, we got a Haitian group, and we probably have a Jewish temple, a gay Jewish temple.
And you think God's okay with all this?
I think so. I think so.
All right. No, that's
it's gonna
great.
be good. It's gonna be good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. I think. We've talked about how Jesus is probably not turning away anyone. So I find it odd that the people that are, Jesus people, the Christians, are like, not so much these folks. We're not big on these people over here. That always seems like a very unchristian way of looking at the world.
Yeah, and I actually was talking to my sister the other day, and I'm going like, I wished, and she's Buddhist, and I said, I just wished we could. Yeah.
Sorry that she's going to hell.
I think she's going to be fine. But we were talking about the idea that, I wish we would get away from using the word Christian, because I don't believe that it has any, it holds nothing. The original concept was the way, which if you go back to that, you kind of go, this is about living a different way and being a different person. That has incredible meaning to it.
Right.
And that's so we should be known as the way. And anyway, we didn't even come up with the name Christian. That was kind of a Roman thing.
I like the concept, but I think if you go around saying, I'm a member of the way, then people are going to be like, did you have to give all your daughters to the leader, or just your firstborn? And
do you have to go to the airport and do the Hare Krishna thing?
When do you sign your house over to the group? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They serve Kool-Aid in the afternoons.
Yeah, that's right. It's just purple Kool-Aid. Try it.
Right.
No. But the idea again is that we are trying to do things in a different way, and we're trying to live where we care and love all people that walk through our doors, and reach out to our community.
What a concept!
Yeah, unbelievable.
No, I like that. It seems to me in the spirit of Christianity, or in the spirit of Jesus. Maybe not Christianity. And whatever that is.
And that's one of the reasons I told you earlier. I said I actually was up till late last night looking to the possibility of moving to Sweden because I was so upset. I was just furious. I mean and it was because of that movie Vice. Have you seen that? Bill Maher is the producer.
I saw the episode about prisons only because he mentioned it on a show, and then I was like, I'll watch that.
What did you think?
I thought it was interesting to see President Obama talking to prisoners, but I also felt like he didn't have much to say to them, and it was a little publicity stunty kind of.
Did it feel that way?
I don't know. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm just cynical, but I think he's like, well, we're working on some things, and I'm like, well, you need to do better than we're going to be working on some things. Like he's like, well, we're trying to get employers to, not ask you if you have a criminal record up front.
Yeah. Until
later in the process. I'm like, that sounds great, but I mean, it's like, it's a nice talking point, but what's actually happening with that, I guess to me, a big problem would be that, right here in Florida, the governor of Florida, what's his name? I can't remember. Rick Scott.
Right.
He, one of his biggest campaign contributors this last election cycle was, and he won, was GEO, which is a for-profit prison corporation.
Right, and that's what's taking over most of our prison right at this point.
And that, to me, seems like kind of a bad thing, or very bad thing, because basically you have something that I guess is a function of our society. You have to put people in prison for whatever reason, but then to say that we're going to turn that into a profit-making enterprise, and then those people are who make profit from that will be able to contribute to campaigns and influence elections so that they can have legislation that will put more people in prison so that they can increase their profits more and attain more power. That seems like a very vicious cycle.
Isn't that crazy? And
people, like people's lives and communities, and like so much is at stake there, and they're all caught in that thresher.
Unbelievable.
It's a I don't know what the word is. It's a catastrophe, I guess, is what I would say.
Well, and that was what's so frustrating. You saw somebody that got put in jail for 7 years, and he's being charged a daily fee of $63 a day to stay in prison. And so he gets out of prison, and what happens to him? First thing, here's your receipt, and you now owe us $30,000.
Right.
This guy's walks out of jail with $40 in his pocket, no ability to make money, and he's got a $40,000 bill because they are charging for him to be in prison.
Could have gone to college for that.
It's crazy.
Community college,
And so what does he do? He goes out and gets involved in the same stuff that he was involved in. He gets put back in jail.
Right. He's like, I need to sell some drugs.
That's right. Exactly.
$30K. You know what I'm saying, guys?
So you're sitting there and you kind of go, this is just nuts. I mean, all we're doing is helping a corporation make money.
Well, and they're like, yeah, you sell those drugs.
Right.
Hurry up.
That's it.
We need our $30K.
That's right.
With interest.
And if you
by the way, go ahead and sell them, pay us our $30K, and then get busted on the last day.
That's right.
So you can go back and we can bang you for another $30K. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely, and that's going on in our country, and there's nobody screaming and yelling about it, going, this is not right. This is, you got some young kid that gets arrested for throwing an orange at a bus, and he gets, where he can't get a job and he can't get school, and he can't.
Orange?
An orange. This
is a Florida story, apparently.
Yeah, it's a Florida story. And again, I mean, it's just we are creating these problems, and that just infuriated me. And then I saw this thing on what was it? Divorce Corp, CORP, and I'm going crazy on that too. It's like we've created this family law organization that doesn't have to respond to what the normal laws are, and all it is about making more money for attorneys and lawyers and putting people through a really, really rough time. And you're seeing people go bankrupt over this thing. People that are just like, I just want to get a divorce, let's split it.
What is Divorce Corp? It sounds like a mafia organization, like Murder Incorporated.
It's
like when you can't resolve your your marital issues. Divorce Corp, they'll send Vinny over, some lye and a shovel.
Hey, we'll take care of him. Don't worry. Okay. No, my daughter calls me up. She's like furious, and she's going, "Have you ever seen this show?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." She's like, "You got to see it. This is unbelievable." This, and so I watched it last night, and it is. It's crazy what we're doing, and it's all for the love of money.
What exactly is it though? What is Divorce Corp?
It's a movie.
Can I buy stock? Because it sounds lucrative. No.
It's that if you want to get divorced, you get put into this family court system, and the family court system doesn't have to follow by the regular court system. So if you want a public defender and family court, you can't get a public defender. You have to hire somebody, And that means the longer that attorney goes on and says, listen, Ethan, that girl you married, if we can make her pay a little bit more, her family's going to chip in it, and they got a house, and you're going to end up with $500,000, and you're going to be set for a couple of years, so don't worry about it. And so it just gets on and on and on, and suddenly at the end of the whole thing, everybody's bankrupt, and actually the judge makes sure that you pay the attorney first, or you get put in jail.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Quite a racket.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And a judge is an attorney before, so he doesn't ever go against the attorneys.
They're part of the same tribe, same guild.
Absolutely. Right. And one of the guys who was a detective, he said, "Listen, you know what we do?" He said, "We destroy you. Whatever you have ever looked at, thought about, we bring out, and we."
Oh, right.
And one lady said. She's a female attorney, and she said, "I can take a man and destroy him in 10 seconds." And it was like, well, what do you mean? She said, I ask him, I say, okay, you love your daughter? You want your daughter at your house? What's your daughter's teacher's name? What's your daughter's doctor's name? And she said, all the things that the man, I don't know. And she said, I can make him look like he shouldn't have that child.
Right. Wow. Well, and you know what I'm thinking right now is that, so you've got the lawyers on either side there, right?
Right.
And yet they're not really playing against each other.
No.
They are kind of, but they're playing against each other the same way like if you and I were playing a game of chess.
Right.
Or a friendly game of, whatever, of chess or tennis or something like that. And it's like, well, we're playing together.
Right.
Right? I mean, for this, hey, it'll be cool if I win. Hey, Bob, if you win this case, I'll owe you a beer.
Yeah.
It's like, or $50 or whatever, right? I bet you're not going to win. But it's like these guys are all in the same, they all hang out.
Right.
They're all in the same tribe, same group. And then they're the people that are caught in the middle, once again, like the people in the prisons,
right.
Are really the losers.
They really are.
Scheme,
really
and it's rigged for them to lose.
And that's the situation. It's just like, wait.
So you think attorneys are like, bitter enemies, like, hey, screw this guy, I'm gonna beat him, right? Because he's my rival. And it's good versus evil, right? It's my side versus your. It's law and order or whatever, and it's like this is the defense attorney, and this is the prosecuting attorney, and this guy's they're really kind of both on the same side.
Well, in this family court thing, it's basically if you and I are attorneys, and the first thing we do is we find out how much money these two people have, and we decide how long that court case is going to go.
Yeah.
Because, okay, they've got $600,000 including the house. Okay, so we're going to go about 4 months with this, and then we settle.
Right.
Okay? Well,
it's like the British and the Dutch, conquering a piece of Asia and saying, hey, I think I deserve 30%. We've lost 10,000 men over here, but the Queen gave me a royal charter saying that I should have they're competing. Yeah. Back and forth by their own rules, and there's a whole population there they're going to lose no matter what happens.
Yeah, it is. And you just say this is not justice. I mean, probably I think it is this Sunday that we're talking about the idea that Jesus gets angry, and this old idea. It's like, how do you get because we think of Jesus as kind of this like guy in a white bathrobe, with from Sweden.
Did they have terry cloth back then?
I think so. At least that's the picture that most you go. He's got like Clairol hair.
Right.
And,
I was gonna go as Jesus for Halloween this year. I thought that would be cool. It could be a good logo for the podcast, maybe.
I think that could be good. Yeah, you know what?
But
you do have that,
right? If I grow my beard, but I don't know if I should get a just go with a terry cloth, and then I need some thorns.
You need the beauty stat. What is it? That thing that goes across the front,
right?
That pale blue thing
that sash.
Yeah, that's a beauty pageant sash.
Yeah.
For it, and then you got the whole look, the Jesus look, And
it can say King of the Jews.
That's
I guess is what. The thing about that I always thought was crazy was that so the Romans nail up Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And then I just imagined them like sitting there. They're like, oh, we've crucified like 100 people today, and they're at the end of their shift. And they're like, you know what? I'm bored. Hey, Louis, You know what would be really funny? What's this guy in for? He wanted to lead a bunch of Jews. You know what? Let's put King of the Jews above his head. That'll be a real laugh. You know, I feel like Jesus would be like, I don't mind the crucifixion, but the jokes, guys.
Can
you
on.
Please, with the INRI. All right, I get it, but come on, seriously.
Well, you know, what was it, about 30 years before Jesus was born, Magdala, the city of Magdala, there was crucifixions. They said there were so many crucifixions that you could not see the horizon. That the Romans got to a point where they were just crucifying people in all different angles. They hung them different ways.
Right. They just get bored. Right. Yeah.
And that they crucified. So Jesus grew up, and so did Mary Magdalene from the town of Magdalene, probably knowing that had happened, and that was back there in the story.
Wow.
But the angry part was, I thought that was really good, because the anger is this idea of grief and being discouraged at the same time. That it's not an anger like, I got mad and I just carried it along with me.
What's the anger part?
Jesus gets angry.
Oh, Jesus gets angry. Okay.
And it's
when does he get angry?
He's looking at the Pharisees, and the Pharisees say to him, this man comes up with a shriveled hand, and he says, will you heal me? And it's on the Sabbath, and the Pharisees are like waiting for him to heal. And he looks at the Pharisees and he says to them, which is it, to heal on the Sabbath or to do wrong on the Sabbath? And they don't say anything because they can't even say it, because they're not supposed to. There's a big argument about whether healing is work and not to do it on the Sabbath.
Is that an argument in the New Testament, or is that an argument like in
Judaism,
rabbinical commentary? Or?
Yeah, well, for years and years there was a giant argument about what work was, and so rabbis would.
But it's miracles would count,
and anything they would, that the Sabbath was holy, so therefore the Sabbath was one of, that you do not work. Well, then what is work?
Right, you have to define that.
Donkey falls into a well. Do you go down and lift the donkey up? Then that's work.
Yeah, but you have to, right?
Right. Well, that's the question. They started arguing over the weight or the lightness of a command, and that being that there was a weight to a command or a lightness to a command, and that there's another command that says you must respect human life. Or respect all life.
Life is the sort of trump card,
right?
In terms of the rabbinical stuff or the Jewish stuff, right?
And that's some rabbis would say no, that donkey falls into the hole, you leave it there until after the Sabbath, and others would say no, that's fine because the weight of the command is that you take care of life.
Right.
And so there was always arguments going back and forth. And so if you
overall, doesn't the life seem to rise to the...
Well, that seems to be what Jesus is saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So not all teachers would agree with him then.
Right.
Okay.
And that was his argument, is to heal this man. So he had the man stand right in the middle of everybody, and he healed him. But it says that he looked around at them angry, and it was like this disappointment and grief of like, you don't get it. You don't get it.
And what didn't they get?
They don't get the idea that it's not about making rules. It's about the idea of taking care and loving our fellow man.
Oh, so that's, what is it, man? Man was not made for the Sabbath?
That's right.
Sabbath is made for man?
That's right. Beautiful.
That Sunday school's really sunk in, at some level. It wasn't all chasing girls and, smoking pot back in high school. It was a lot of Sunday school, too.
There was some Sunday school back there.
Yeah.
So there's a justice, and you get angry, and you say, but what did he do with his anger? He healed. And that's the thing. It's like, I want to get angry at what's going on here, but I got to figure out, how do I get angry and heal the situation out there? How do you heal the jail problems? How do you heal the family courts? How do you get involved and heal?
Well, then you said that your answer to that is that you're going to move to Sweden.
That was that was last night at 12 o'clock. Or, I'm going like, I'm just moving to Sweden. That's it. I'm going. You
just give up.
Yeah. And then you wake up in the morning and you go, okay, that's not the thing. I've got to get involved. And so now you have to get involved.
We're sort of gotten a little political here, I guess. I don't know if people are listening, but I don't know. The political thing was always difficult for me, because in comedy you almost never want to go down that route. I think.
Really?
Some people do it, like Bill Maher, people like that, and I like Bill Maher, but I
like him too.
I do, and I'm probably more on the liberal side than the conservative side on most political issues. Although I don't really like to label myself because this is just the way I feel about this particular issue or that particular issue. But I think the political stuff is difficult because for whatever reason, you never seem to make any headway with people. And so immediately once you go down that road, I feel like you're going to start to turn people off. And so for me, it's important that's why I like those deeper issues, like we were talking about in the last episode, how it's the deepest issues, the most profound thoughts are also the funniest thoughts. And if you can get to that, then I hopefully you're actually at a level that's deeper and more human than politics. And if you can touch people there, then maybe later on it will inform their thinking on lots of issues. And some of those might be what we might call political issues. But I guess what I would hope is that eventually people can just have more compassion, and then that would touch their, politics, for lack of a better word, or touch their feelings about things that influence the distribution of resources and things that we call politics. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny a lot. I'm going to just monologue for a second now. Yeah. But it's. I was just thinking about this. It's really funny that we have all these debates in politics, though, about like liberals and conservatives. They say like, oh well, maybe if an abortion is before 3 months, it might be okay, but after 3 months, it might not be okay. Or this area you can have guns, but over here you can't have guns. Or this part of this earth is Mexico. This part is America. Right, so we have all these, and I think what one thing that turns people off about politics is that you're arguing over these sort of arcane and arbitrary things, but then people feel really passionate about their arcane and arbitrary division of reality versus someone else's. So it's actually really dry, boring stuff about just this stuff about like numbers and statistics and stuff. Yeah. But then people get really passionate. So there's like so much in there to turn people off. It's like you got boring statistics and numbers and also passionately held feelings about those boring statistics and numbers. It's almost like fantasy football or something, or sports, right? Where you've got these like...
Yeah, did you win?
I won my fantasy football league. I won a game and then I lost 2. So I'm 1-2 right now in my league.
But you're right. I agree with you.
Right. Yeah. But here's the funny thing to me, which is that so liberals and conservatives, they are always going to disagree about that. But there's one thing that we all should agree that the government should dictate our rules about, and that's traffic laws. Right? Like, it's really safer if you don't run the stop sign or the red light or you don't go above the speed limit. Right. For sure, it's safer. We know that. Yep. Everyone knows it. And yet that one area where everyone kind of agrees, no one follows it. We all break the laws all the time. And then when you actually get a ticket for breaking the law, you're like, yeah, F the police. Yeah. But actually, that's not really an F the police situation, right? It's not like you're being discriminated against or whatever. Maybe you are, but I mean, it's just like that's the one area where...
we all agree.
We all agree, and yet we don't do it. Yeah. And then we all get mad when we get in trouble for it. It's just a weird. That's fallenness, maybe in theological terms.
I like that. It's good. That's very good.
We've got some problems as the human race to work out there, I think.
We do. We really do. And I think that's probably they kept in this one show that I was watching last night, which that court they kept
Divorce Corp.
They'd go to Sweden and talk in Sweden, and it was like, in Sweden they'd say, well, we get a divorce and it happens within 6 weeks. You have 6 weeks to make a decision not to. And everybody, all the money's just split evenly.
Right.
And no one can sue for more than $1,000. And that's it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And so there's the lawyer's going, well, I don't want that. I'm out of here.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well,
so other countries are doing it better.
The problem there is that then you have to say, I'm not special. So it's the same as with medical care in the U.S. You have to say, I'm not special. The reason why that those things are not palatable in America, to say, let's say, like, for example, in Singapore, the medical care is good. It's very good. I used to live there. Medical care is great. Okay. 1/20 the cost.
Right.
But if you have like a serious illness and if you want like really advanced surgery or stuff like that, there's certain things that you probably get a better job in America.
Right.
Do a better job.
Right.
And I think what it is, so it's like if you're really, really rich, you're going to get better medical care in America.
Right.
If you're hyper rich. If you're just normal, regular, average person that doesn't make a lot of money,
right,
you get way better medical care in Singapore. And over time, then you could afford, you know. And over time, you look at the outcomes, and they're actually better in places like Singapore.
Really?
Yeah, because the care for more people is better. So
right,
there's that 1% of people or whatever who aren't getting, you know, maybe you die a little sooner. But
right,
overall, the society does better. And it's that same thing. It's like, well, now you have to say, I'm not special. Everyone wants to believe that their divorce is special. Everyone wants to believe that their medical care, their body, they should get whatever, the best care possible in every situation. Right. And even in America, people who aren't rich will say, well, but I'm voting based on the fact that eventually I will be rich. So, you know, I want that to be there when I'm ready, you know.
Right.
And so it's very difficult, you know, because you're saying you have to say, well, let's do what's better for everyone as a group. And that's very difficult for Americans. It's also, on the flip side, what's good about America is, or something that's made America great, whatever that means, is that individual. What is that? The Protestant work ethic and the spirit of capitalism,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
That's what is that? Weber, Durkheim.
Yeah.
Weber.
Yes. Weber.
Okay. Yeah. So it's that Protestant thing, and we have that hyper version of that here in America, where it's you know, you work really hard and you draw all your instincts into, you know, making material acquisition the forum where you succeed, and prove yourself as a man or as a woman or as a whatever, as a human being. And then that drives innovation, and it drives innovation for people who have the money to afford it.
Right.
And
exactly.
Since that's a massive amount of resources at the top that can afford it, that's where that's the cutting edge of everything. So because of that, we actually have like cutting edge medical stuff in America that no one can afford, but it's cutting edge. So
it is.
You know, so it's weird. It's like weird. Like, how do you allocate the resources in a society so that you could still have that kind of cutting edge stuff,
right?
But not have it be unavailable to everyone except for the people at the top. And I don't know the answer. And I think that's what a lot of political debate is about.
I wondered where you were going with that when you started out, and it was like, that's very, very good. Very good.
I don't know where I went with it or where I started. But are you moving to Sweden? You
said you have to be okay with not being special. And that was like, what is he talking about there? And then it makes all the sense in the world.
It's very hard to not be special because what American didn't grow up with their parents telling them you're special?
Right.
You know. By the way, I lived in Asia for a while. Not something that they hear.
No.
It's more important that you that your family succeeds, and at the first level, your immediate family, and then that your, you know, extended family succeeds, and then that your country succeeds, or your ethnic group and your country, which might be identified in a lot of places in Asia. And then that's about it, really. They don't go further than that to the human race very often. But it's, you know, those Confucian societies, like I used to live in Vietnam, or I used to work in China sometimes, especially Confucian societies. Same thing would be in like places like Korea. You know, the hammer, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. Right. That's the term. Saying they have there.
You know, I have friends that are Korean, and they said one of the hardest things they got tried to get used to in the United States was this idea of, you know, like raising your hand first, you know, in a classroom, because they were taught that, you know, that's something you don't do. You don't stand out. You don't step forward. You are concerned about the entire group. And then you would learn these habits of, you know, like raising your hand and you being the first, and they would go home and they would, you know, socially they'd be, you know, you don't act that way.
Right.
Don't act that way.
Yeah. Or, I mean, when I used to teach, like say in Vietnam or even in Singapore, although it's a little more westernized there, so to a lesser extent, but in both places, getting students to challenge, you know, the thoughts that I'm presenting them with is very difficult because they don't want to challenge the teacher.
Right, exactly.
That's like Confucius would be rolling over in his grave or whatever.
Right.
His urn or his reliquary.
Yes.
I don't know where Confucius is, but it's probably not like just an ordinary grave.
No,
you know,
no, I don't think so.
It's probably something fancy. He'd be rolling over in the misty smoke that they burn, incense that they burn to him, and the paper money and things like that, and when they venerate him. Yeah, it'll just be sort of amorphously swirling in that, in anger because they're offending him by challenging the teacher,
being westernized.
Yeah, well, it's just you respect your elders, you respect your teacher, because if you don't, it's actually shameful
for the family.
For the family, for you, it's morally wrong. The respect that for your elders is, or for first of all for your parents, second of all for your teachers,
right,
and third of all for anyone older than you, are that's called xiao in Chinese.
Xiao.
Yeah, and that's a very important value in all those societies. And a person who lacks xiao is considered to be a low life, I guess.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah. A person who's not really worthy of doing well in life and not worthy of respect and things like that himself. Whereas here, not respecting your elders is almost a virtue. Hey, I don't need someone to tell me how to do.
Yeah.
I can, look at Mark Zuckerberg, he's a prodigy,
Yep.
And people told him you can't do this or can't do that. Then he went out and did it.
Right.
And transformed the world. Facebook, things like that, Steve Jobs, people who sort of kicked against the pricks, to use a Shakespearean metaphor, of society and the boxes they were presented with and didn't want to live in those boxes, they're rewarded, and so you have that innovative spirit.
Right, exactly.
But you don't, but we have a hard time, but everyone wants to be that, and we have a hard time coming together and sublimating our selfish desires and our desire to be special.
Right. Well,
because that's our exemplar.
And again, we separate more and more, and you have a poorer and more of a division between the wealthiest and the poorest in a country. And we all know that that's not healthy for either group.
Yes. Well, that's right. And that's something that I think Confucian societies would agree with.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're creating the conditions for unrest.
Right.
Social unrest when you do that, and that's not what a good king would do. No,
and it also there's a big study on it, the idea that actually the wealthiest, when you have this giant separation, they're actually less healthy. There is and what's so strange is that the society is more people in jail, there are more people in prison, there are people that are more all of.
We're building enough prisons to cloud the skies of Magdalene with. The entire horizon, because because we make money on them now.
That's
right.
Yeah. So if you can make money on them, then just let's incarcerate them. We have no concern with rehabilitating them. You don't hear a lot about rehabilitation, and that's not right. And
well, that's a problem, and that's there's the downfall of our system here, which is that. It's like, well, I don't know if we should be doing this or not. It seems wrong. Well, wait, are you making money?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, we're making a lot of money. Well, then, keep it up. So that's problematic. There has to be another system of values that comes into play. Yeah, I think. What was the pill that was cost $1 to make, and they were selling it for $10, and now it was brought up to $700. That. It was some kind of drug for toxoplasmosis.
Right. And which
is a virus that you can get if you have a compromised immune system. It's very common in places with high HIV rates, like Africa.
And so,
some certain parts of Africa.
So this pill is now $700, and the guy the new CEO who bought the company, was arrogant in the way he said, "Well, we're here to make money.
Yeah.
We're here to make money." Not just a little money, but a lot of money.
Well, then you have, I guess, other parts of society clicking in and saying this is wrong, so regulating against it. So you have Bill Maher mentioned it, right? He's showing up on liberal blogs and things like that, and he's getting condemned. So you've got something pushing against that. We're talking about it,
right?
But I don't know what else there is to do about it, really, except to point it out.
And part of the situation is that the pharmaceutical companies can decide whatever they want to charge for this stuff, and sometimes it's not really fair. And maybe that's the issue, is that it's not about just the money. That it's about the need for the people, and maybe we need to say that we're not all special, but we're all average.
But it would be nice to still have that innovation.
Yes, yeah.
So I haven't figured that one out.
Well, we have more podcasts to do.
We do.
Yeah.
If you want to write us, you can do so at Jesus Christ, that's funny at gmail.com. You still like the title, Pastor?
I love the title.
Yeah?
I just love it. Yeah, I've had only 3 or 4 people, say that that we should be burned and crucified. But that was, I think they said.
Were they Romans or?
They were Romans. What do you know? I think about it. Yeah.
You mean they're Italian? Or?
They were Roman around here and Roman around there.
All right. Yeah. There you go. So, and of course, you're listening to us right now either on iTunes, or maybe you're listening to us on JesusChristThat'sFunny.podbean.com. But either way, share us, like us, comment on that page and let us know what you think of the show. That'll help us out. And once again, write us at JesusChristThat'sFunny@gmail.com. Let us know what you think.
Sounds great.
Ask a question.
Yep.
We will make fun of you. No, we will try to deal with that issue, whatever it may be.
We will read your question right on the air, and
we will. You're getting on the ground floor.
Yes.
Because we get we get no mail right now. So I will read the one that we get.
Right. So you could be the one.
Yeah. So send us an email.
Okay.
All right. So thanks, Pastor.
Thank you, Ethan. It's great, man. You did a great job.
No, you did a great job.
No, you did a great job.
All right. All right. Well, God bless.
God bless you.